Good evening, I'm David Brown, and welcome to the 100th episode of the Northern Sun Experience. And no less than 100% effort was put forth last week by Minnesota State. The Mavericks' success over the past 7 days has been nothing short of spectacular, and we'll start with the baseball team. MSU had locked up the top seed in the conference tournament weeks before play even began, and after winning its first 2 games of the NSIC tournament, the Mavericks played the host school and number 3 seed St. Cloud State for the right to advance to the tournament championship. To Joe Faber Field we go. Mavericks up 1-0 in the 5th, but the Huskies pull ahead with just one swing. One on for Logan Swan, deep to left and gone, 2-run shot, gives St. Cloud State a 2-1 lead. Home half of the 5th, Minnesota State chips away and regains the lead. First, it's Dylan Driesel lasing a single to left. Eric Peterson comes home and we're tied at 2. Then later in the inning, Josh Wenzel deep to left. Ball bounces off the wall for a stand-up double. That brings around Driesel to make it 3-2 Minnesota State. Mavericks add some insurance runs in the 6th. This time it's Peterson at the dish, finding the gap in right center. That double scores 2 more runs, 5-2 MSU at that point, and Minnesota State advances to the conference championship with a 6-3 win over St. Cloud State. But the Huskies would battle back to the championship against the Mavs, MSU needing just 1 win for the title, and they would take an early lead. Luke Waldeck with a sharp hit to the left side, shortstop can't corral it. Hunter Walsh scores 1-0 Minnesota State in the 2nd. Top of the 4th, Huskies square things up. Bo Schmitz with the high chopper up the middle. Ball is thrown away by the second baseman. Judd Davis scores from 3rd, and we're tied at 1. Still 1-1 in the 5th. Dylan Driesel flies out to left center, but the ball is just deep enough to score Hunter Hanisch. The throw was to 3rd base anyway, and the Mavs regain the lead 2-1 on the sac fly. MSU would add some insurance in the 7th. It's Driesel once again going opposite field to right for the double. Eric Peterson scores, and it's 3-1 Mavs. Next batter is Jordan Hart. He bloops one in the shallow left. That's enough to score Driesel from 2nd to make it 4-1 Minnesota State. And the Mavs go on to capture the NSIC Tournament Championship 4-2. It's MSU's 5th tournament title all time. And with the victory, Minnesota State gets the NSIC's automatic bid to the Central Region Tournament, and the Mavs earned the 2nd seed in the 8-team field. They took on the 7th-seed Central Oklahoma earlier on Thursday. Meanwhile, despite the loss in the NSIC Championship, St. Cloud State earned the number 3 seed and takes on number 6 Missouri Western State in the late game Thursday. Emporia State in Kansas is the number 1 seed and host school for the double elimination tournament. While baseball regionals are coming up, Minnesota State hosted softball regionals last week, taking on Augustana in Game 1, and the Mavs got off to a great start. Amber Krall deep to left and gone, 2-run shot, gives MSU a 2-0 lead. Vikings chip away in the 2nd. Kylie Rome smacks one over the wall in left center. The solo home run cuts the Mavericks' lead to 2-1. Later in the 2nd, Augustana's big bats continue to bash. 2 on for Maggie Dunnett, who powers it just over the wall in right center. 3-run homer gives the Vikings a 4-2 lead. We've seen a solo, 2-run, and 3-run homer, so it's only natural that we complete the home run cycle with a grand slam. MSU's Jess Meidel gets the fans on their feet with a golf swing that clears the bases. Mavericks up 7-4 at that point, and they would go on to win 8-4. Augustana would fight back to force a rematch against Minnesota State in the Central 2 Region Championship, and Meidel picks up right where she left off in their last game. Same spot, same result, only this time it's a 2-run homer to give MSU a 2-0 lead. But once again, the Vikings battle back. Shannon Peterson over the wall and left. Augustana gets its own 2-run shot to tie things at 2 in the 4th. But as has been the case all season long, the Mavs just find a way to win. In the 5th, Amber Krall with a single up the middle. That scores Meidel to make it 3-2 MSU. Next inning, Mavs add to their lead. Corey Kennedy goes opposite field, singling to right. Dana Mogren scores 4-2 Minnesota State. MSU takes the Central 2 Region Championship 4-3. The Mavericks' 27th win in a row. They advanced to Super Regionals, aka the Sweet 16, for the first time since 2011. And they would take on the victor from the Central 1 Regional, and it was almost a rematch of the NSIC Tournament Championship with Winona State. The Warriors made a valiant effort down in Arkansas, losing their first game and then winning their next 3 in a row to force a final winner-take-all game against Harding. But the Bisons win the championship game over Winona State on a walk-off wild pitch in the 7th inning, 4-3. So that sets up the super regional matchup between Harding and Minnesota State in a best-of-3 series in Arkansas. The first game took place earlier on Thursday, with Games 2 and Game 3, if necessary, on Friday, May 19th. Both teams entered this series with 57 wins on the season, and these teams did already meet once earlier this year. Minnesota State escaped with a 1-0 victory back on February 17th. The winner advances to the Women's College World Series starting on May 25th in Salem, Virginia. Well, when we come back, we switch gears to the outdoor conference track and field meet with even more success for Minnesota State.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back. Minnesota State's men's track and field team has won 5 consecutive outdoor conference tournaments, and heading into this year's NSIC Championships, the Mavs fielded a roster as good, if not better, than their previous 5. That set the stage for another record-breaking tournament in St. Paul over the weekend. The Mavericks had the top 4 finishers in the men's 100-meter dash, led by Paul Selman with a time of 10.56 seconds. In the 400-meter dash, MSU had 6 of the top 8. Isaiah Pitchford comes in with a personal best of 47.55 seconds. Other noteworthy performers include Sioux Falls' Teddy Frid. Last week's decathlon champion wins the 110-meter hurdles with a time of 14.74 seconds. Frid was awarded the NSIC's High Point Performer honor. But the weekend, as I said, would belong to Minnesota State. The Mavs 4x100 relay team sets a new personal best, clocking in at 40.97 seconds. The Mavs easily take home a 6th consecutive championship with 247 points. In addition to what you just saw, MSU's Michael Sandals set a new conference mark in the triple jump, and the 4x400 team set a new NSIC record as well. Sioux Falls was a distant second in the team results, followed by UMary, Augustana, and Southwest Minnesota State. Meanwhile, on the women's side of things, more record setters. In the 800 meters, Minnesota Duluth's Emily Trost sets a new mark at 2:04.62. Trost also broke the 1500-meter record and qualified to the NCAA tournament in both events. In the 400-meter hurdles, Northern State's Hannah Oosterwegel broke the previous NSIC mark with a time of 58.83 seconds. 200-meter dash, Winona State's Megan Seidel qualifies for nationals with a personal best 24 seconds flat. And that wasn't all the Warriors would accomplish this weekend. 4x100-meter relay photo finish and a new record. Winona State, anchored by Seidel, crosses the finish line in 46.10 seconds, just 2/100ths of a second ahead of second place Minnesota State. That win part of Winona State's first team championship at the conference meet since 2005. They finished 7.5 points ahead of UMary. Minnesota State, Augustana, and Minnesota Duluth are 3, 4, and 5. Well, when we come back, our final Under the Northern Sun alumni feature showcases MSU Moorhead. Welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience. Over the past 8 months, as part of a celebration of the NSIC's 25th season, we've been introducing you to members of the conference's 25th anniversary team, and the 50th and final inductee has just been named. Congratulations to former Minnesota Duluth baseball standout Alex Wojciechowski, the 2013 and 2016 NSIC Player of the Year. Wojo, as he was known at UMD, was also a 3-time All-Central Region honoree. He was drafted in the 15th round of the 2016 MLB draft by the Philadelphia Phillies and is currently playing in Class A with the Lakewood Blue Claws in New Jersey. Congrats to all 50 members of the NSIC's 25th anniversary team. And as part of the anniversary, we've also been showcasing outstanding alumni in our Under the Northern Sun features. Tonight, we go to MSU Moorhead and showcase a man who's been the embodiment of Dragon athletics since the 1960s.
The Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference turns 25 this season. Who better from MSUM to recap the Dragons' role in the history of the league than the man who was there through it all, NSIC and MSUM Hall of Famer Larry Scott.
When I started at MSU Moorhead, it was just the NIC, and it was a 6-team affair. It was a very competitive league, but curiously, very small in that. And that was really before the women's program took full blossom, and then they operated with the Northern Sun on the women's side for a while. And ultimately, the officials made the right decision to merge the 2 leagues together. But at one time, we had separate conferences, men or women, and that wasn't very productive, and I don't think it was very fair. But by putting it together, certainly strengthened the bond. It made the league a lot better, and I think it increased the quality of play.
Fast forward 25 years later, the NSIC has become a power in the national landscape of college athletics, according to Scotty.
Most of us remain convinced that it is the best Division II league in America. It was always a good league, but there were others, including the late North Central Conference, that might have been a little bit better. But I don't think there's any league overall that's better. And clearly in some sports, volleyball comes to mind. There's no league in America that even comes close to matching our conference. So I think our league can take a great deal of pride in overall competition, the balance between the genders, and certainly in all the sports. The NSIC, big footprint now, not just in the Midwest anymore, but all across the country.
Through all of that time, Scotty roamed the sidelines, sat courtside, and roamed the halls of NSIC. So what are a few of the many names of MSUM's NSIC past that stand out to him?
Well, I go back, a little further than that, and so there were some that were pretty memorable early on, and particularly in football. College wrestling was big, but there are a few that stand out. I look at a guy like Brett Beeson, who was the Player of the Year in Division II basketball, a great scorer, tremendous player for the Dragons in the 90s. Nate Hendrickson came along a couple years later and was a Division II Wrestler of the Year in the country. We were particularly proud of them. There were others like Katie Klass, who was competed in track and cross country at MSUM. She also made the Olympics in speed skating. And then today there's just a raft of quality players on a variety of levels, and there's so many of them. I'm almost a little leery for omitting names, but certainly I think MSU Moorhead, along with other teams in the league, have every right to feel good, and there are a lot of people that have come through these programs and distinguished themselves.
Finally, what's in store for the future of the NSIC to someone who's been there every boot step of the way?
A lot of leagues don't stay constant forever, we know that, so there could be some changes in membership in that. I don't see it for a while, and I think there's a very good feeling, a commitment, kind of common resolve within the league, which I like. I think people certainly have a lot of respect and admiration for each other, so I think we're on good footing in the NSIC. I know we are. And I'm optimistic in the future. I know there'll be issues, there'll be challenges, but I think we have the right people in place to meet them.
When we come back, part 2 of our top 40 plays of the season countdown. Plays 20 through 11 are next. Welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience, where we continue our countdown of the top 40 NSIC plays of the season. Last week we unveiled the first 20, and now we continue with the final 20. And at number 20, it's the mighty Mustapher. Minot State running back Jarvis Mustapher takes the pitch right, cuts back left, and barrels through about 5 peacocks for a touchdown against Upper Iowa. Patience, quickness, and toughness all combined to make this one fabulous run for a score, and the 20th best play of the season. For number 19, more great moves for a touchdown. Sioux Falls quarterback Luke Papillion drops back, moves up, bounces left again, and throws against the grain to Brady Rose for the score at Minot State. Papillion was a master in the 2016 season at keeping the play alive, and he uses every part of his repertoire to give the Cougars another touchdown. At number 18, SMSU dips into its bag of tricks. Off the reverse flea flicker, quarterback Blake Gimble tosses it to Raphael Lawson-Gale, who maneuvers his way down the left sideline for 6 against Sioux Falls. If you've watched the Mustangs over the years, you'll know that technically this play broke down as Gimble was looking for a different receiver deep, but the ability to improvise and still make things work is SMSU football at its best. Back to the hardwood at number 17. Bemidji State's Ben Best brings it up and tosses to Christian Pekarik for the game-winning 3 at the buzzer against Wayne State. The Beavers do a great job working from the far end of the court, and Best gets the Wayne State help defender to over-pursue ever so slightly to give Pekarik a clean look for 3, the win, and play number 17. The gridiron calls for number 16. We saw our fair share of one-handed catches in the previous episode, but this one by Minnesota State's Taylor Johnson is unreal, using his left hand for the touchdown against Sioux Falls. Johnson readjusts to the pass from Nick Piercini as best he can, and he almost has to use one hand to haul it in. At number 15, it's the return of the Mac. Northern State's Mac Arvidsson comes off a screen, catches and fires for the game-winning 3-pointer at USF. The January 27th clash between the Wolves and Cougars was a classic back-and-forth affair that ended when Arvidsson rattled home a clutch 3. For number 14, a bit of trickery from Concordia St. Paul. Darius Chaps takes the snap on the fake punt and runs 39 yards for the first down against Minnesota Duluth. At full speed, it might be hard to see how it happens, but we'll slow it down for you. The center snaps and holds the ball while Chaps takes it and fools the entire Bulldog defense. In a game where more than 100 total points were scored between the two teams, it's a non-scoring play that gets all the attention at number 14. 13 is usually an unlucky number, but there's no such thing as unlucky when it comes to Upper Iowa's Carson Parker. The junior stops, pops, and buries a game-winning 3 at the buzzer against SMSU in overtime. Parker gets the inbounds and maintains his momentum all the way down the court, giving himself enough space to not only hit the 3, but make 13 seem like a lucky number. But how can luck be involved when Parker's right back on the countdown at number 12? 2 weeks after his SMSU game winner, Parker does it again. In a play that looks eerily similar, he takes the ball up and buries another game-winning 3, only this time against Augustana. Same situation, tie game. Same situation, taking the ball the length of the court, and same situation, another 3 for the win. So it's only fitting that a clutch three-point artist gets a third straight three-pointer on our countdown. At number 11, Parker somehow tops his previous 2 shots. In the first round of the NCAA tournament, Parker hits the game-tying three-pointer against Northwest Missouri State to force overtime. Now, while his first 2 three-pointers were game winners, this shot kept Upper Iowa's season alive in a do-or-die situation. Granted, the Peacocks would eventually fall in overtime, but Northwest Missouri State would go on to become the D2 national champions, and Parker proved he could come up big on the biggest stage against them with the 11th best play of the season. When we come back, the top 10 plays of the NSIC season.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience. We've seen the first 30 and now we're down to the top 10 NSIC plays of the season. We ended the last segment with a trio of buzzer beaters and we start our top 10 with another. Wayne State's Vance Jansen goes coast to coast and hits the layup at the buzzer against Minnesota Duluth. Check it out again, just 4.3 seconds remaining, and Jansen goes most of the 94 feet and gets off the finger roll just in time for the big win and the 10th best play of the season. At number 9, it's another game-saving play, only this time on defense. Up by 3 in the final seconds of the NSIC Tournament Championship, Northern State's Brianna Kusler partially blocks a game-tying 3 by USF to secure the victory. The Wolves are always known for their stout defense, and those principles paid off when it was needed the most. For number 8, Drew Bauer stays alive. The UMD quarterback spins away from a Winona State defender, moves to his left, and throws back across his body to Nate Ricci for an eventual 54-yard touchdown. Bauer was one of the most elusive quarterbacks in NSIC history, and his senior season capped off a career of avoiding hits and making defenders miss. We showed you one SMSU reverse flea flicker earlier in our countdown. This one works just a little better at number 7. Blake Gimbel to Ashanti Payne to Raphael Lawson Gale, back to Gimbel, who airs it out to Nate Hewitt for the touchdown. As I've mentioned before, reverse flea flickers aren't just a trick play for the Mustangs, they're part of the playbook, and this play was executed to perfection. At number 6, an amazing play in a nearly impossible situation. Bemidji State facing a 4th and 37 pulls off a hook and ladder that goes for 49 yards against MSU Moorhead. Here it is again, Jordan Hine to Vince Stinkle, who immediately flips it to Juwan Richard, who takes care of the rest. I don't know what the statistical odds are for converting 4th and 37, but that alone makes play number 6 something to remember for the Beavers. We are down to our top 5, and it's our final one-handed catch of the countdown. Drew Bauer lobs it up, and Jason Baltz somehow, someway comes down with the ball in his left hand for the touchdown. Baltz has an MSU Moorhead defender draped all over him, and he's still able to make the best of the situation and make a spectacular play at the same time. At number 4 is Tanner Kretschmann with the game-winning 3. The MSU Moorhead junior pulls up from just inside half court and buries a 40-footer for the win at Northern State. With just 2.1 seconds remaining, Kretschmann doesn't have a lot of time, but he has plenty of room to gain momentum and send the Dragons soaring with a miraculous win at the buzzer. For number 3, it's a 3-second goal. At the start of the game between Minnesota Crookston and U-Mary, it's the Marauders' Megan Searson launching it from 50 yards away to the back of the net. It's the fastest goal to start a soccer game in NCAA history, so it only makes sense that the launch from way downtown is the 3rd best play of the season. At number 2, we go back to the very first week of NSIC football and a walk-off touchdown for Augustana. Down by 3 in overtime to Northern State, Trey Hyde lobs it up in the back of the end zone for Matt Heller, who comes on down for 6 and the win. Spectacular catches were the name of the game for Heller this past season, and this leaping grab was easily the most clutch. And it's that clutch factor that leads to our number 1 play of the season. After Augustana's John Warren hits a 3 with 8 seconds left to give the Vikings a 2-point lead in the NSIC tournament semifinals, SMSU's Ryan Brueggemann races down the court and lobs it up to Joey Bartlett for the tie in overtime. Take another look and you can see that while it initially appeared Brueggemann was trying to make a layup himself, his eyes tell a different story. That split-second glance over to Bartlett shows some quick thinking with time running out, and he lobs it to where only Bartlett can get it. The Mustangs would go on to win in double overtime over Augustana and capture the NSIC Tournament Championship the very next day. Ryan Brueggemann to Joey Bartlett, clutch play in a clutch situation, and that makes it the single best play of the 2016-2017 NSIC season. Well, for one final time, thank you to all of our NSIC member schools for their time, video, and contributions to 100 episodes of the Northern Sun Experience. Midco Sports Network is proud to be an NSIC partner and will provide extended coverage starting next season with Thursday Night Football, and we hope to see you then. This has been the Northern Sun Experience.